Do you give discounts to your customers that you need to track in QuickBooks Online? The best examples of each right here in this video. There are two different types of discounts that you can record in QuickBooks Online. You can record an early pay discount that persuades your customers to pay your invoices more quickly, or you can have a general sales discount for a specific reason, like Thanksgiving Day discount or employee discount, and so on. But no matter what type of discount you use, you have to have a separate account in the chart of accounts that tracks the amount you're giving up for that specific discount. An early pay discount is always a percent of the total sale, and it's only for invoices and credit sales, not for sales receipts when the customer pays immediately. The customer only receives the discount if they pay within a certain number of days, and they have to pay the whole invoice in order to get the discount. And the terms and conditions of getting the discount have to be listed right on the invoice at the moment you make the sale. But that's not the one we will talk about first. First, let's talk about what I call qualifying sales discounts. That means the discount is given for a specific reason, and the discount is given at the moment you sell the product or service, regardless of when they pay. And it's usually for a specific reason that motivates the sale, like Black Friday discount or employee discount, and so on. And this discount can be either a percent of the total sale, a percent of one of the items, or just a flat amount that you put right on the invoice or sales receipt. And again, when you set up these discounts in your chart of accounts, you need to have a separate account in the chart of accounts to track each of the different types of discounts that you give. For example, you could have one account for employee discounts and a different account for Halloween discounts, and so on. This way you can compare the totals of each of the different discounts you give to see how much you're losing for each discount. Now, it's important to understand that when you create these accounts, these are income type of accounts. But specifically, the detail type in the tax form section will always be discounts, refunds given. And that's because in accounting theory, discounts are what we call contra income, and they should show up in the income section of the profit and loss as a negative number. So let's go ahead and set up two typical discounts in the chart of accounts. Let's set up good customer discount, which is $20 regardless, and let's set up another discount and call it Thanksgiving Day sale, and let's make that one 10% of whatever the total of the sale will be. And this way, when you finish, this is what they will look like in your chart of accounts, so you can track them separately. So let's first put good customer discount. Let's make it an income account and make the detail type discounts refund given, and do the same thing when we set up Thanksgiving Day sale discount. We go to the chart of accounts by clicking the cog wheel. We come across to the left where it says settings, and we go down to chart of accounts. Now, in the top right, we click new. Okay. Now, this is the way the Accountant's Edition has you adding accounts. So we click income to add an income type of account, and the account type is income, and the detail type, even though it says tax form section, it's really the detail type. The detail type will be discounts refund given. And we'll type it in capital letters because it's easier for our eyes to see in the long list. And of course, we click Save, and we can see that good customer discount has been added to the list with the proper type and the proper detail type. So now let's add the next one, New. It's an income type of account. Under Income, it will be Discounts Refund Given, and this name will be Thanksgiving Day Discount. And of course, we click Save with that as well. And we can see that Thanksgiving Day Discount is income with the proper discount refund detail type. To finish setting up for this type of discount, you must make an item on the list of products and services for each of the different types of discounts you give. Then after you make the item, you have to put the item at the bottom of the invoice or sale receipt whenever you're giving the discount. From the top right, we click the cog wheel and we go over to the column of lists and we click the list of products and services. Then in the top right, we click New. Now, we choose Service for the discount items that we make. And the name of the first one will be Good Customer Discount. And of course, the income account would be the account that we just created, Good Customer Discount. Now, if in fact you have this Edit Sales Tax, you need to click and make sure that this is non-taxable if in fact you use sales tax. And for some of you, this won't apply. But then we click Done, and you can see that Good Customer Discount has been added to the list of products and services. Now let's do Thanksgiving Day Discount. We click New, Service, and the name is Thanksgiving Day Discount. And you can pause the video if I'm typing too fast, but of course the account that's connected to is the Thanksgiving Day Sale Discount account that we just created. If in fact you activated sales tax or have sales tax, click Edit and make sure that this is non-taxable. And QuickBooks Online should remember your recent choice because you don't want it to add sales tax for a discount. Then click Done, and then you can see Thanksgiving Day Discount has been added to the list of products and services that we can use when we create an invoice or sale receipt. Try some transactions. So let's imagine it's March 27th and we did 11 video hours and 5 editing hours for Alan. Let's imagine he paid us by putting the money directly into the bank account, and he is entitled to $20 good customer discount. From the top left, we click New, Sales Receipt. Now to be clear, this is our 10th sale receipt. So regardless of how your QuickBooks Online enumerates by default, make this sale receipt number 10. And it is to Alan Arby for video hours. Oh, excuse me, we have to put the date, March 27th of 2025. And the first product or service is Video Wedding 11. Then on the next line, Editing 5. Don't forget, this money is directly deposited into the bank account, but the most important point in this sale receipt is all the way down here. When I click under the last item, I can choose Good Customer Discount. Don't forget, when you type in the discount, you must put a negative number, minus $20. Notice when I push tab right here, you can see the subtotal decreases by $20. Therefore, the invoice is only $3,980 and good customer discount is recorded as $20. When we click Save and Close, we can open the trial balance and see that the results are exactly as what we expected. We can click Reports, Trial Balance, and scroll down to notice that good customer discount shows up for the first time as $20. Notice it's on the debit side because normal income is on the credit side, and it will get subtracted from normal income when we run the profit and loss. So let's try a second example. Let's imagine now on March 28th, we did 14 editing and 8 video for Candy. She gets the Thanksgiving Day sale discount because it's March 28th, and that's 10% of the entire sale. And let's imagine she also paid us directly into the bank account. From the top left, we click New, Sales Receipt, and it should automatically enumerate to number 11. This customer is Candy, and the date is March 28th of 2025. We did 14 editing and 8 video. And of course, under all the other products, we click and choose the Thanksgiving Day discount, which is right here. But now here's an interesting point. Of course, you're going to put a negative number. However, when it comes to a discount that is a percent of the sale, you must calculate the amount yourself. You can use a calculator or Excel or just use your own math skills. So we know if the subtotal before the discount is $4,360, then the discount should be $436 if it's 10% of the whole invoice. Push tab, and you can see that QuickBooks Online, of course, subtracts whatever's in the discount field from the whole invoice and gives you this net amount. When we click Save and Close, we can go back to the trial balance, and we can see that Thanksgiving Day sale showed up for the first time as $436. Now let's close with one more example just to enhance the learning. March 29th, we did 4 video hours and 4 editing hours for Betty. She paid the money directly into the bank account, and she also gets the good customer discount of $20. From the top left, we click New, Sales Receipt. The date is March 29th of 2025. Now, we're going to do video 4 and editing 4. And just like last time, the good customer discount comes at the bottom, and we put a negative number, minus 20. And notice it gets subtracted out from the total at the bottom. And when we click Save and Close, and we can see that good customer discount increased to $40. And if we double click, we can see that that $40 came from 2 separate sales receipts. It came from the 27th, and 29th for each of these sales receipts, respectively. And now, let's talk about early pay discount. This type of discount is almost always a % of the sale, and the client has to pay the entire invoice before a specific date in order to get the discount. And the name of the date that the client has to pay before in order to get the discount is called the discount date. Now, the customer can choose not to take the discount and pay after the discount date, but they still must pay the entire amount before the final due date listed on the invoice. So how do you set up for early pay discount? Well, you start by activating this in the company settings, also called the account settings window. Once you do that, two things will happen. First, this will put the discount account in the chart of accounts to track the total early pay discounts from all of the sales that you give the early pay discount. Secondly, this will add the discount % field to the bottom of the invoice window so that all you have to do is put in the number, and QuickBooks Online will multiply that number as a % against the total sale whenever you give the discount. If we open the invoice window by clicking New, Invoice, we can scroll to the bottom and see that the discount box is not yet there. This is for sales tax and this is for deposit. But if we go to the top right and we click the cog wheel and we go across to company settings or account settings and we click the sales category of settings, we see the main section here, sales form content. And you can see right now discount is off. But if you click anywhere in this area, you'll be able to edit. And on the same row as discount, we click the button to make it the green color, which indicates it has been activated. Then we must click Save in the little section and click Done in the bottom right. Now, when we click New Invoice, we can scroll to the bottom of the invoice window and you can see that this field has just been added to the bottom of the invoice, showing you that you can put in the % of the discount and QuickBooks Online will calculate the amount. Let's close the window and check the chart of accounts to be sure that the discount account has been added. In the top right, we click the cog wheel and we go over and click Chart of Accounts. If you scroll down a little, you'll get to the income section, and in the income section, you'll see QuickBooks Online now provides an account called Discounts Given with this account type and this detail type. And this is the account that will record all of the early pay discounts. And now let's do the second step of setting up for early pay discount. We have to put the terms on the terms list. And terms are simply the rules of the agreement of how the client will get the discount. So the terms of the discount will always be stated in this format right on the invoice if they are for early pay discount. For example, these terms below me read 210 net 30, and the part before the arrow explains how to get the discount. If it says 210, it means it's 2% of the sale will be the discount amount, but if and only if the client pays within 10 days of the date of the invoice. The part after the arrow tells you the last day you have to pay if you have to pay in full. So that's an example of how terms are written, and that's how you should interpret them. Another example, if the terms are written like this, 1/15 arrow n/45, The part before the arrow says that the customer will get a 1% discount on the total sale if they pay within 15 days. If not, then they have to pay the full amount before 45 days from the date of the sale and the date of the invoice. So now let's add our own terms to the terms list so that we can see exactly how this works. So now let's add our own terms to the list of terms within QuickBooks Online. We will choose 310 net 45, which means if the client gets the discount, they will get a 3% discount on the entire invoice, but only if they pay the entire amount within 10 days of the sale. And if they don't take the discount, the entire amount is due in 45 days. Let's take a look about how to add it to the list of terms in QuickBooks Online. From the top right, we click the cog wheel and we go over to the column of lists. And one of the lists on our lists, actually, if the terms list is not shown here, what you have to do is click all lists. And then you'll get the ability to click on the terms list. Click on terms, and now you see these are all different terms that already come with QuickBooks Online, which means if you tried to make an invoice right now, you have the ability to click terms and choose any one of the terms that are showing on the terms list. And whichever one you click on will show up right here on the invoice when you save it. Now, we're not going to save this invoice, but you can see QuickBooks Online comes with a big variety of terms, and it also gives you the ability to add terms yourself. So we want to add these terms because they are different than the terms that are already listed. To add new terms, we click New. Now notice this box here is just for the name. It's just text fields. So we type in the description so we can see it clearly. 3% space 10, because we want to get paid in 10 days if we give the discount, space net 45. And you're just typing text. But it's nice to make it look the way the other terms look. Now, if it says due in a fixed number of days, we want to put, in this case, 10. And that's usually the way terms work. Now, when we click Save, we can see that our terms have been added to the list, 310 net 45. That means if we click New Invoice and we go to the pull-down arrow for terms, we can see that our terms are now available to be added to the data field of any invoice. Now, in order to give them the early pay discount, you must first put on the original invoice the terms that you're going to choose from the terms list that we just saw. But the discount is not given on the day that you record the invoice. The discount is given on the day that they pay, so be careful. Do not give them the discount at the moment you make the invoice. You're going to look down and see the discount box when you make the invoice, and you're going to think you should put the discount percent there. But you can't, because you don't yet know if they're entitled to it, because you don't know in the future when they're going to pay. So now let's do an example. Let's imagine on March 30, we did 18 editing hours for Betty, and we're going to put right on the invoice the new terms that we made, 310 net 45. From the top left, we click New Invoice. We're actually up to invoice number 20. The customer is Betty, and the date is March 30th of 2025. The item is editing 18. Now the only difference between this invoice and the prior invoices that we created is that on this invoice we're going to choose the terms that we created in the prior video chapter. It's right here on the list, just like we saw. We click on it, and now we're ready to save the invoice. And most importantly, do not put a number in the discount percent box. You do not put a number in that box at the moment you create the invoice. You will only put something there if they are entitled to the discount, and you will not know that until the day that they pay. So we click Save and Close. And when we look at the Open Invoice Report, you can see the results. We click Reports, Open Invoice, and we scroll down to the section of Betty, and now we see this is the first invoice where the terms are what we created. So how do you actually give the discount on the day that the invoice is paid? Well, if you put the terms right on the face of the invoice, when the client pays, you have to do 6 simple steps. And I know that 6 sounds like a big number, but all these steps together take less than 30 seconds. At the moment we go to record the payment in the Receive Payments window, we have to open up the invoice, then check the terms listed. Compare the terms to today's date to decide if the client is eligible for the discount. If the client is eligible for the discount, go ahead and put the discount percent into the discount field and then save the invoice, and then go ahead and finish recording the payment. So now let's imagine it's March 31 and Betty paid the entire amount of the invoice. So from the top left, we click New, Receive Payment. And at the moment that we choose our good customer Betty Boop, we see the 3 invoices that are open and the one that she's paying for. Now, in order to determine if they're entitled to the discount, you have to double click right there on the invoice. Don't worry, we'll come right back to the payment window. For now, click Yes. We go over to the invoice and we simply compare the terms to whatever today's date really is. And when we compare the invoice date to the terms and today's date, we determine if Betty is entitled to the discount. If the answer is yes, and only if the answer is yes, we scroll down a bit and we put in the discount percent according to the terms. This box is expecting the number to be a percent. And if you put a percent, this one actually will calculate the amount for you because QuickBooks Online expects a percent. We type in 3 and push tab, and notice QuickBooks Online automatically calculates the amount of the discount and subtracts that discount from the invoice total. So now, right before we record the payment, the balance of the invoice changes slightly. And when we click Save and Close, we can see that the Open Invoice Report now reflects the fact that the invoice balance has changed. And as I said before, you must record the payment at the moment that you change the invoice. Those 2 things go together. But I'm not going to do that yet because I want to show you something quickly. At the instant that you change the invoice, and even though you have not yet recorded the payment, you can still go to the trial balance and you can see that the discount has already been recorded in the chart of accounts. That's because you changed it on the invoice. But remember, you can't do that without immediately recording the payment. So we have to come back to New, Receive Payment. Maybe we'll zoom out a little. And as soon as we choose Betty Boop, we can see the 3 invoices and now the new balance. The new balance. And if Betty did what she's supposed to do, all we have to do is click the check mark, and the amount of the balance of the invoice should be equal to the amount of payment that we got from Betty, because Betty knows how much to pay us if she's entitled to the discount. So this should be the amount that we physically received. Notice how easy it is to click the check mark if that's the balance of the invoice. And now all we have to do is make sure the date is the date that we received the payment, which of course is 1 day after the invoice in this case. And when we click Save and Close, we can see that all the numbers in the trial balance are correct. The discount is still here. Cash in bank increased to $41,978.40, and accounts receivable decreased to $25,500. So if we close by taking a look at the open invoice report, you will see that the invoice number 20 has completely disappeared from Betty's balance. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way till the end. You are now an expert in everything that has to do with discounts in QuickBooks Online.